Inside an apartment, someone enters a password, 321705, to access a hidden space. Another voice questions it, asking if that's really the correct password, but the person confidently replies that it grants access to a confidential area. As they move inside, it's revealed that this place is filled with secret information and materials, suggesting something illegal or hidden is being stored. The person seems focused, preparing for something important. Finally, as they reach their destination, they pause and think. Is this it? The woman holding an envelope, showing she has found something important. Her calm but serious expression suggests the contents mean a lot to her. A brief flashback reveals her past with a man, where their conversation hints at a complicated relationship and unresolved feelings. He appears distant, while she seems more emotional, highlighting their differences. Back in the present, she sits alone in the dark and makes a firm decision, showing determination. Suddenly, the mood shifts as someone appears behind her, surprising her. The scene ends with her shocked reaction, hinting at an unexpected and important encounter. The man states that everything was about catering to that useless old man's moods, adding that he believed they could control the situation even without evidence in place. Yuncio responds, saying, that's how it seemed, and he suffered a lot because of it too, but then realizes the truth and shouts, but it was all a lie. Narration boxes reveal the accusations. The chairman was framed, he stole another's seal and committed crimes, and Yuncio's father endured hardship because of those false charges. Another line adds that even after that, the suffering didn't stop. The man then asks, committed crimes? Do you have evidence? Yuncio answers firmly, yes, I have evidence. She follows with a direct question, do you know why I've been hiding? And immediately answers it herself, because you caused my father's death. In the final lines, she explains her actions, finding the will and creating slush funds while you were in company. I was gathering that evidence. The narration explains Yuncio's realization, to me, who witnessed my father's accident and even developed PTSD, Kang Jinwoo made me take mountains of psychiatric medication. He wanted me to live in a daze, drunk on the drugs. She firmly rejects that control, thinking, but I wasn't fooled. I just pretended to be. Facing him, she declares that even if she can't escape herself, her secretary will go to the prosecution. A follow-up line adds, if she doesn't get out in time, it's already arranged, her secretary will report everything first. She continues, saying that even without decisive proof, there's enough circumstantial evidence to file a complaint, and once she finds more, Kang Jinwoo will have murder added to his charges. The man stays silent at first. Then the final reveal, just pressing one button will send the audio from this recording straight to the online drive, showing she has secured evidence and a backup plan in place. Yuncio shouts in anger, I'm telling you it's over for you now. You murderer. Her voice is filled with certainty and fury as she confronts him directly. The man responds with a quiet laugh, ha. Yuncio. Pitifully Yuncio completely unfazed by her accusations. A close-up shows Yuncio startled, realizing he isn't threatened at all. He then calmly says, listen carefully. I'll tell you just 3 things, setting the tone for a cold controlled counterattack. Standing beside the woman in red, he delivers the first point, first you won't leave here alive. The scene cuts to Yuncio now visibly shaken. Then comes the second, Secretary Joe won't be going to the prosecution, implying her backup plan has already been neutralized. The man continues coldly, the evidence you gathered have already disappeared from this world, completely crushing Yuncio's plan. Shocked, she stares up at him and asks Secretary Joe, what did you do to him? Ignoring her panic, he moves on, and third as he suddenly grabs her arm, asserting full control over the situation. With a chilling smile he declares, we'll make good use of your inheritance, revealing their true motive. Yuncio is left horrified, realizing everything, her evidence, her backup, and even her safety, is gone. As he forcefully restrains her, she cries out no, ending the scene with her completely overpowered and in despair. Yuncio collapses, her body going limp as she thinks in panic, my body, and then my body won't move, realizing she's been drugged or paralyzed. The woman in red calmly watches from the doorway while the man lifts Yuncio effortlessly in his arms. He speaks coldly, Li Yunjo, in a little while unable to bear depression. The scene shifts outside to the apartment rooftop as his plan is revealed. You will become a tragic heroine who jumped to her death from the apartment. With everything staged to look like suicide, he delivers the final line, goodbye Li Yunjo. The last panel shows her body falling into the darkness, sealing her fate as he carries out his plan. As Yuncio falls through the night, her thoughts spiral in desperation. Father, this isn't right. This shouldn't be happening. This is too much. Her body continues to drop, the wind rushing past as panic takes over. The scene tightens on her face, eyes squeezed shut in fear as the fall seems inevitable. Then suddenly, something changes. A jolt interrupts the moment. Her thoughts break with confusion. As the city lights blur beneath her, she opens her eyes slightly and thinks, what is this? The fall is no longer just a fall, something unexpected is happening, leaving her suspended between terror and confusion. As Yunseo continues falling, a strange message suddenly appears before her. Will you intervene in fate? Confused, she questions it. Intervene in fate? What does that mean? What am I supposed to choose? The screen remains in front of her as she keeps dropping, the ground getting closer. She realizes, this is the end now, her eye trembling with fear. Even so, she thinks, I don't know what this is, but since it's the end, there's no need to hesitate. The message appears again. Will you intervene in fate? Without holding back, she shouts her choice yes. The scene ends with her still falling toward the city below. The scene abruptly shifts to a corporate meeting. A report states, then, we will proceed with the meeting regarding the investment in CXSoft. It's explained that CXSoft has currently requested investment from us, MK Investment, for the purpose of rehabilitation, focusing on the current financial structure of CXSoft. As the meeting continues, a man approaches and urgently says, CEO Park, I think you need to see the news. He lowers his voice and reveals the reason. It's about Lee Yunjo, the CX heiress. You know, you're Yunjo Nuna. The news hits hard. She just committed suicide. CEO Park freezes as the words repeat in his mind. Lee Yunjo committed suicide? His expression tightening in shock. A report follows immediately. A news broadcast states that she was found deceased after falling early that morning. It adds that Lee Yunjo had suffered from depression and panic disorder and that these conditions were known due to her late father, the chairman of CXSoft. Another detail mentions that the couple had no children. Back in the meeting room, the atmosphere turns heavy. CEO Park sits down in silence, visibly shaken as the reality of Yunjo's reported suicide settles in, confirming that the staged incident has now become public truth. CEO Park, visibly shaken, announces, we'll put the CX investment case on hold for now, signaling the impact of Yunjo's reported death on the company. Suddenly the mysterious message appears again. Will you intervene in fate? The scene shifts underwater. Yunseo is submerged, disoriented. She realizes underwater, then panics, can't breathe, as she struggles, reaching out desperately. A voice urges, breathe. In the next instant she gasps back to life, violently coughing as she inhales air. This marks a clear turning point. After choosing yes, she has been pulled back from death and awakened somewhere else. Yunseo regains consciousness in a bathtub, confused. Bathtub? Where is this? This isn't my house. She looks down at herself and realizes, I don't remember buying clothes like this. While her thoughts remain unclear, as she slowly stands, she tries to make sense of it. Of course it is. After going through something like that, if your mind was clear. But her confusion doesn't fade. She looks at her reflection and freezes. Her eyes widen in shock, realizing something is wrong with her appearance. At that moment she screams as she realizes she's in another body and place. Yunseo stumbles in shock. What? As she rushes to the mirror. Seeing her reflection, she panics. What is with this face? Who is this? Who the hell is this? Realizing the face staring back isn't hers. Then a message appears. Na Yunjo, 28 years old, professional model. She freezes, confused. What? Another line follows. She passed away 30 seconds before you died, Lee Yunjo. The truth is revealed immediately after. I transferred you into this body immediately. Stunned, Yunseo can only repeat the final word in disbelief. Death? Yunseo, still overwhelmed, questions it all. Transferred? What on earth is it talking about? What does this even mean? She looks at her new body, unable to process what's happening. Then a voice responds. I am a guide. Confused, she repeats, a guide? The explanation follows. Yes. Think of me like the navigation system commonly called Navi. Trying to make sense of it, she mutters, my father's secretary system. Navi? The response clarifies, similar but different. However, you may call me Navi if you wish. The system explains its origin. Yunseo's father had been developing a program for personal assistance, but it was still in the experimental phase. Development stopped after his death, though Yunseo had believed it was abandoned. Putting it together, she asks, so you're a guide to help me intervene in fate? Like a support system? The response confirms that is right. The system then states clearly, from now on you will live as Na Yunjo. You can directly intervene in your destiny. Still confused, Yunseo asks then, what about me? What happened to my original body? The answer is simple and unsettling. It would be best to see for yourself. At the scene of the incident, police block off the area, shouting, get back, as the street is filled with tension. Yunseo, now in Na Yunjo's body, stands among the crowd and realizes where she is. Oh no. People around her whisper it looks like she committed suicide as she stares ahead in shock. A glimpse of the scene confirms it, a body lying on the ground, blood visible. Her eyes widen as the reality hits and a cold thought crosses her mind. How horrific. Suddenly someone shouts Yunjo. Yunjo, as people rush toward the scene, including emergency responders. Standing there, she understands the truth. The victim on the ground is her original body and she is witnessing the aftermath of her own death. A man kneels beside Yunjo's body, grief-stricken, saying, Yunjo, why? How am I supposed to live without you? Showing deep sorrow. Watching from the crowd in her new body, Yunseo thinks coldly that disgusting man, revealing her true feelings toward him. The scene then shifts to a car where the same man sits in silence staring out the window. The thought lingers, Lee Yunjo committed suicide. It doesn't feel real, suggesting that despite his outward grief, something about the situation feels off, or unresolved. A narration sets the timeline. It works about a week ago when I met her for the first time, introducing a past memory. In a library, a woman reaches for a book on a high shelf but struggles to grab it. As she almost loses balance, someone steps in and catches the book for her. Surprised, she lets out "ah," and then politely says thank you. The man looks at her and asks, "Are you a guest of my father's?" Trying to understand who she is. Calmly she introduces herself. "My name is Lee Yunjo." This moment shows their first meeting, hinting at the beginning of a connection tied to her identity and past. A voice informs CEO we've arrived as the man steps out at a funeral hall. Inside he stands before Yunjo's memorial portrait surrounded by flowers. Looking at her photo, he quietly calls her name Lee Yunjo. His thoughts turn serious as he reflects she wasn't the type to commit suicide, clearly doubting the official story. As he places flowers in front of her portrait, he continues, and she certainly wasn't the type to shut everything down, implying that her death doesn't align with who she was. The scene ends with his suspicion growing. He doesn't believe Yunjo's death was truly a suicide. At the funeral, people whisper as a man arrives. Vice Chairman, that's CEO Park Jae-hyun of MK. His presence draws attention. Another man approaches him, surprised. CEO Park Jae-hyun? Then asks, what brings someone like you all the way here? Jae-hyun replies calmly, I was an acquaintance of the deceased. The man, confused, presses, excuse me? How? Jae-hyun answers bluntly, I briefly took art lessons from you. Then corrects himself, I suppose are Yunjo. I mean, my wife was quite a renowned artist. His words reveal a deeper connection. He wasn't just an acquaintance but her husband, shifting the tone of the conversation and surprising those around him. CEO Park Jae-hyun stands at the funeral, his expression cold as he thinks this is bullshit, clearly rejecting the situation around Yunjo's death. Despite that, he maintains composure, outwardly offering my deepest condolences. As he leaves the building, his thoughts turn sharp and focused. Kang Jin-woo. He reflects on him as a so-called Cinderella of a sort who climbed the social ladder through marriage, exposing his disdain. A brief image of their wedding reinforces that connection. He continues, thinking that if Kang Jin-woo had any luck, he might survive this situation, but not without consequences. In Jae-hyun's eyes, Kang Jin-woo isn't truly a grieving husband but a gold digger, the chain murderer. The scene ends with Jae-hyun standing alone, arms crossed, his suspicion now fully hardened into certainty. He believes Kang Jin-woo is responsible. Jae-hyun runs a hand through his hair, frustrated, muttering, son of a bitch, still thinking about everything that happened. As he steps outside, he suddenly notices someone and pauses. His eyes fix on a woman standing nearby. Recognition hits. Na Yunjo? The woman, Yunseo in her new body, looks uneasy and he approaches her, asking the new employee Na Yunjo? Then noticing something off, he adds, Miss Na Yunjo, were you unwell? Caught off guard, she hesitates and can only respond "who," showing confusion as the two face each other for the first time in this new identity. Jae-hyun studies her closely, his expression sharp and suspicious. Yunseo in Na Yunjo's body stares back, her eyes widening as recognition suddenly hits. Park. Jae-hyun. The moment freezes between them. He tilts his head, slightly confused by her reaction, clearly not expecting familiarity. Breaking the silence, he says, Miss Na Yunjo, even so, isn't it only polite to address someone properly instead of with proper titles? His tone is distant and formal as he adds, I'm not exactly your friend, drawing a clear line between them. Yunseo hesitates, trying to ground herself. Alright. I'm not Lee Yunjo right now. Then unsure, she wonders, what do I do? What should I call? Jae-hyun interrupts, asking directly, why are you doing here? Did you come here too? He continues, if it's about what happened last time, we haven't finished that conversation. Yunseo freezes at his words, thinking, what happened last time? Jae-hyun narrows his eyes and adds, didn't you understand why I said I had nothing more to say to you? There's a brief pause, then Yunseo's expression shifts. She says quietly then, before realizing something important. Looking at him with certainty, she declares, I know her. Then corrects herself more firmly, I know this person too. Jae-hyun looks at her seriously and asks, you knew each other? You and Na Yunjo? Trying to understand her strange reaction. Yunseo, flustered, slips, Yunjo unis, then immediately stops herself, realizing what she almost revealed. At that moment, a woman nearby breaks down crying, sob. Yunjo Uni, while being supported by a man. She cries out, Uni, what are we going to do? Making the grief around them even more real. Yunseo's expression hardens as she watches them, anger flickering in her eyes. Jae-hyun observes her closely, then thinks, what's with that expression? Yunseo stays silent, trying to process everything while Jae-hyun watches her from a distance. A narration introduces her identity, Na Yunjo, a model under Hera Entertainment funded by MK Investment. She's described as someone with a beautiful face and body but also a troublemaker, constantly at the center of gossip due to her careless and reckless behavior. Various reports and images reinforce her reputation, showing controversies and rumors surrounding her name. The memory then shifts to a party celebrating an investment deal with her agency. During the event, something unexpected happened, an incident that put her in the spotlight and drew attention. It ends with Jaehyun recalling that moment. A scandal broke out with a woman named Nyenjo, someone he hadn't even known before, marking the first time she entered his awareness. The scene shifts to Hera Entertainment where Nyenjo is brought in after causing trouble. A man scolds her saying Nyenjo apologized to the CEO right this instant. "You're clearly in the wrong here." Unbothered she replies casually, "Fine, sorry." She explains, "I heard Park Jaehyun was handsome so I was just checking him out. I didn't think it would cause a scandal." Narration emphasizes her reputation, a model known by name alone, Nyenjo, someone with a sharp rebellious gaze that doesn't suit someone in her position. Watching her, Jaehyun reacts coldly, thinking what a waste of a name, showing his clear disapproval and lack of respect for her behavior. A narration reflects identity, but was the power of a name always this strong? As images of Nyenjo and Lee Yenjo appear side by side, emphasizing the contrast between the two lives. In a memory, Nyenjo casually says, "I'll buy you a drink," as an apology, showing her bold attitude. The narration clarifies, the mistake was agreeing to drink just because of a name I longed for, revealing that Jaehyun accepted her offer only because her name Yenjo reminded him of Lee Yenjo. The scene then shows them sitting together and Jaehyun addresses her formally Miss Nyenjo, marking the start of their interaction driven by his lingering attachment to the name. In the memory, Nyenjo sits across from Jaehyun with a drink, smiling as he calls out softly Yenjo, and again Yenjo. The name lingers on his lips, clearly not just directed at her but tied to someone else in his mind. As the moment continues, the mood shifts, his breathing grows uneven and the scene cuts abruptly. The scene makes it clear that even in his subconscious the name Yenjo consumes him, showing how deeply Lee Yenjo remains on his mind, blurring the line between the past and the present. Was it because I loved finally being able to speak the name I had only ever repeated to myself? As the scene shows Nyenjo beneath him, it becomes clear, she was a woman who shared Yenjo's name. Their hands intertwined but the meaning is hollow. The narration continues, "That was the night I held her in place of the real Yenjo." The moment isn't about Nyenjo herself, it's about Jaehyun projecting his feelings for Lee Yenjo onto her, using her presence and shared name to fill the void left behind. The morning after, Nyenjo casually says, "I'm sorry sir, but could you give me some money?" Catching Jaehyun off guard. "Money?" She explains bluntly, "I need some settlement money to silence a certain report," then adds with a smile, "Right now you're the only one I could ask money from." Jaehyun, clearly displeased, asks, "And if I refuse?" Without hesitation she threatens, "Well then I'll spread rumors about what happened last night. Make it seem like you came onto me." The narration cuts in sharply, "It was disgusting." Jaehyun reflects that whatever little affection remained from the night before completely vanished, leaving only contempt for her actions. Jaehyun sits in the car deep in thought, reflecting, "To think I even considered taking responsibility for that woman." He quickly dismisses it, thinking it doesn't make sense that a woman like that knows Lee Yenjo, rejecting any connection between the two. The driver then speaks up, "Director Park, you know model Nyenjo, right?" Jaehyun reacts with slight confusion. The driver continues, "Yenjo Nina," then corrects himself, "No, I mean, you look at this closely. It's about the accident." Caught off guard, Jaehyun responds, "What?" The driver hands him something saying, "Look at this article," signaling that new information about the incident is about to change everything. An article shows the scene of Yenjo's fall with citizens watching as emergency crews respond. Seeing it, Yunseo, in Nyenjo's body, covers her mouth in shock. Is she crying? Back in the car, Jaehyun reads and realizes at that time the victim's identity hadn't even been confirmed yet. Does that mean she already knew? Suspicion sets in immediately. He makes a call. "Kim Gyuha." "Yeah?" Jaehyun orders firmly, "Look into Nyenjo. Focus especially on her connection with Lee Yenjo." The moment marks a shift. He now sees her not as irrelevant but as someone deeply tied to the truth behind Yenjo's death. A narration reveals Jaehyun's growing suspicion. "The only things I know about her are her name, job, and age." As images of Nyenjo and Lee Yenjo overlap, he reflects, it would be laughable to suddenly grow curious about an unknown I'm linked to now. What exactly her relationship with Lee Yenjo was? The question lingers, showing his thoughts are now fully focused on uncovering the connection between the two. The scene shifts back to the present where Yunseo sits alone on a bench. She calls out, "All right Navi," preparing to act. She continues, "You said I could live as Nyenjo from now on and intervene in fate, right?" Signaling that she's ready to use her second chance and take control of what happens next. Navi confirms, "Yes, that is correct." Yunseo, still trying to understand, asks, "Then why didn't I die?" The answer appears, "Because you wish to intervene with fate." Confused she questions it, "I mean, why did something like this happen?" Navi responds vaguely, "Perhaps someone's desperate longing reached through." Yunseo frowns, unable to fully grasp it. What kind of vague answer is that? Frustrated she gives up pressing further. "Fine, I won't ask anymore." Accepting the situation, she concludes, "Honestly, entering someone else's body right before death makes no sense, but I'll deal with it." Yenjo reflects quietly, "I feel sorry for Yenjo who died having lived at such a young age, but what matters is what I can gain from this opportunity." Her thoughts sharpen with purpose, an opportunity for revenge. She considers her next step. Is it impossible to return to normal and retrieve the evidence? Then a new idea forms, to have Nyenjo's memories. Navi responds, "It is not impossible," but adds a condition. However, depending on the degree, it may or may not have unpleasant side effects. Yenjo acknowledges the reality of her situation, thinking, of course it would be someone else's life. especially the life of someone who chose suicide, peeking into it. She wonders somewhere within Nyenjo's memories would that person also appear? Curious if the truth she's searching for might be hidden there. Navi responds, first approval has been granted for the use of Nyenjo's memories. Would you like to view them? Without hesitation Yenjo answers, yes, I'll look at them. The scene transitions as the memories begin to unfold. The memory begins with chaos, a building engulfed in flames as someone calls out Jaehyun. Then more urgently Mr. Jaehyun. A warning appears, a message saying that Mr. Park Jaehyun should leave immediately, hinting that something dangerous was about to happen. Amid the fire and destruction, scattered items fall, emphasizing the suddenness of the incident. The scene then cuts to Jaehyun waking up abruptly, breathing heavily as if reliving the moment. The narration ends somberly. Now even that has become meaningless, suggesting that whatever happened back then, warnings, danger, or escape, no longer holds value in the present. The memory continues with Jaehyun sitting up, his expression heavy as the narration states, because Yenjo has left forever, emphasizing the weight of her death on him. The scene shifts to the funeral. Voices call out Uni, Yenjo Uni, as people gather grieving. Someone asks, where are we going to do Yenjo Uni, while holding her portrait. Jaehyun watches in silence, his face unreadable, taking in the scene. Then his focus sharpens, his gaze locks onto someone. The name appears with weight, Kang Jinwoo. Standing there composed among the mourners, Jinwoo becomes the center of Jaehyun's attention, marking him as the key figure in Jaehyun's growing suspicion. A narration cuts in sharply, a pathetic man who had Yenjo but failed to protect her, clearly referring to Jaehyun and his regret. At the funeral Jaehyun suddenly pauses, as his attention is drawn to someone in the crowd. He recognizes her, Nyenjo? As he looks closer something feels off, that gaze again. The panel focuses on her expression and the narration confirms it, clear hostility, contempt. Jaehyun is unsettled, questioning it. Why would someone like Nyenjo have that look? The scene ends with him watching her from afar, surrounded by silhouettes. As suspicion deepens, he realizes there's something unusual about her, something that doesn't match who she's supposed to be. Nyenjo walks quietly through the funeral, her expression cold and composed. Her hand tightens slightly around her bag, showing restrained emotion. From a distance Jaehyun watches her closely, his eyes narrowing as he continues to sense something unusual about her. The scene shifts into a symbolic space. Blue butterflies flutter around as the narration reads, light footsteps stepping as if weightless like a butterfly. Two figures walk side by side, one resembling Nyenjo, the other Lee Yenjo, visually overlapping their identities. The moment ends with a lingering question, why? Capturing the confusion, connection, and unresolved mystery between the two lives now intertwined. In a restroom a woman speaks on the phone, confirming, yes, that's right. She then reveals the key point. Now all of Lee Yenjo's assets belong to my dear husband. She continues coldly, the wedding? Of course we'll have it, but not just yet. Her plan becomes clear as she adds, we need to put the blame for this dead woman, comfort each other, and then fall in love. Something like that would work, showing calculated manipulation. As she finishes the call she murmurs criticism, while washing her hands, completely unfazed. The final line exposes her intent. If it becomes mine, what people criticize won't matter. Same with my organization. The woman continues her call while walking out, saying, yes, I was just about to discuss the register the marriage first, clearly focused on securing things legally. She adds mockingly, I need a safety device too. If someone gets that done, who can they trust? Revealing her manipulative mindset. As she leaves, footsteps echo. Someone else has been listening. Inside the restroom Yenjo stands still, having overheard everything. The words repeat in her mind, register the marriage first. Her expression hardens instantly and she responds firmly, not a chance. Yenjo walks alone, reflecting, it's not enough that I had to see my brother's body in the blackened room. Now I even have to live with what happened after the coming back to me. Overwhelmed she admits, I should walk a bit to clear my head. As she moves down the street a car suddenly pulls up beside her. A voice calls out from inside, are you heading home? Caught off guard Yenjo turns as the unexpected encounter interrupts her thoughts. Yenjo recognizes him, Park Jaehyun? As he looks at her from the car. She thinks, aside from his connection to me, he was like the sixth son of my father, so I expected him to at least come to the funeral hall. Her expression tightens as she realizes, but I didn't expect him to come all the way to me. The scene pulls back, showing the two facing each other on the quiet street, tension lingering between them. A narration follows. The end between Park Jaehyun and me was not exactly beautiful. From the age of 20 we spent 3 years together. A memory surfaces of their past. Yenjo recalls how her heart consistently beat for him and how she shared my first kiss with him and gave him my first time. But the warmth fades quickly, but that was all. The narration continues. When Park Jaehyun went abroad our relationship ended, showing how abruptly it was cut off. Now in the present she reflects the Yenjo that has long year of history memories with someone was the image that Park Jaehyun remembered. Then Jaehyun speaks from inside the car, telling her, the tunnel ahead is quite long. She then adds, pardon, while standing there processing everything. Jaehyun clarifies from the driver's seat, I'm saying the tunnel ahead is too long to walk through. Get in. I'll give you a ride. Yenjo stands still on the sidewalk, hesitating, watching the fallen leaves around her. Then she asks, confused, why? Why are you giving me a ride? After a pause she recalls his past words. Right after a scandal involving her broke out, Jaehyun had drawn a clear line. I'm not someone who can afford to be involved in such low-grade scandals. Yunjo questions him, such low grade. What do you mean? Jaehyun answers coldly, every action I take has someone watching, and for that, I have to be a little rough, frivolous, and somewhat vulgar. Yunjo responds with a faint smile, so even scandals have to meet a certain class? That's funny. Jaehyun doesn't deny it, exactly. Who are you trying to show them to? The narration reflects, the first meeting between Park Jaehyun and Na Yeonjo was truly the worst. But everything shifted the moment he learned her name, Yeonjo. Before that, his gaze was indifferent. After hearing it, the look in his eyes changed, showing how much that name alone affected him. In the memory, Na Yeonjo boldly asks, Sir, do you want to sleep with me? Jaehyun responds firmly, I don't sleep with just anyone. Unfazed, she leans in and says, then let's start with a kiss. As they grow closer, she adds playfully, call me Yeonjo, like you did earlier, in that friendly tone, pushing past his boundaries. The scene cuts back to the present. Yeonjo stands by the car as Jaehyun pauses, or, as if about to say something more. She looks at him and finishes the thought herself, or, perhaps you need a woman for tonight, like last time. Yeonjo looks at him and asks calmly, if you need a woman? Throwing the past back at him. Jaehyun responds sharply, repeating his earlier stance, yes, I need one right now, will we do it in the car? Or do you need more money to keep the reporter quiet? He's clearly referencing what happened before, his tone cold and accusatory. To him, Na Yeonjo must have seemed like this kind of person, a woman crazy about money, easy enough to take away anywhere. But if it was really Yeonjo, what would she have said? But Yeonjo refuses, saying no, I don't want to. She remains polite and distant, adding I'll just take a walk. Please drive safely sir, clearly choosing not to get involved with him. She walks away, leaving him behind. After a moment, Jaehyun follows and stops beside her again, calling out, listen to me Na Yeonjo, stop acting out of your character and get in, showing he doesn't believe her refusal is genuine. Yeonjo eventually ends up in the car with Jaehyun, both sitting in silence. She looks out the window, avoiding him, the tension between them heavy. Jaehyun breaks the silence, asking, why did you go there, referring to the funeral. Yeonjo didn't expect the question. Inside she resists engaging, thinking, I don't want to react like this, but the narration adds Na Yeonjo wouldn't have handled the situation either, highlighting her internal conflict. Yeonjo responds calmly, what are you talking about all of a sudden? Sir, I'm not that smart. If you speak like that I won't understand. Jaehyun doesn't back down. Fine, let me rephrase the question. He asks directly, why did you go to Seoul Forest at dawn on September 14th, then states it plainly, you went to the site of Lee Yeonjo's accident. Yeonjo freezes for a moment, then answers carefully, I also live nearby. I couldn't sleep, so I went out to exercise. That's why I saw the accident scene. Jaehyun presses, is that all? She replies, trying to stay composed, what else could there be? Jaehyun doesn't believe her explanation. He points out the details coldly, wearing a floral dress and sneakers, going out to exercise at that hour, and crying while looking around the scene. Yeonjo turns to him unsettled, asking, sir, are you interrogating me? Frustrated, she adds, why are you saying I'm like Lee Yeonjo? I know you look down on me, but this is going too far. A narration contrasts their perceptions. Unlike the warm Jaehyun in my memories, to Na Yeonjo he was completely different, not a good man. The description sharpens, arrogant, dismissive of others' feelings, a prickly, cold, cruel man. Jaehyun's expression remains composed but distant. A narration reveals Na Yeonjo's situation. She approached Park Jaehyun not out of desire but because she needed money. Another scandal was about to be exposed, and if she couldn't stop it, her career would be over. It explains that a reporter was demanding an enormous settlement far beyond what she could afford. With no better options, she chose the only method she could think of, spending one night with Jaehyun and asking him for money. Even knowing it was wrong, she made that choice and approached him shamelessly. In the memory she asks lightly, if word gets out about last night, will you take responsibility for it? Jaehyun responds coldly, if you're not smart you should at least be perceptive, tossing money down as if to end things. He finishes with a cutting remark, what's one night to me? Do you think women like you are rare? Making it clear how little he valued the situation or her. In the memory, Yeonjo confronts him, hurt. Even if it meant nothing to you, did you have to say it like that? But he says he'll pay her back. Back in the present, she draws a clear line. You're not a prosecutor, sir, and I'm not a suspect. Jaehyun continues pressing, but she refuses to engage. I don't know what Lee Yeonjo's death means to you, but this isn't right. Firmly she adds, you have no right to ask me that, and I have no duty to answer. I'll get out now. She opens the door and steps out of the car. Before leaving, she says calmly, take care. Yeonjo walks away from the car without looking back, leaving Jaehyun behind. From inside he watches her go in silence, unable to say anything. The scene shifts as Yeonjo makes her way through the city alone, the distance between them growing. She arrives at her place, enters quietly, and shuts the door behind her. Once inside, the tension finally breaks. She drops down and exhales heavily. Yeonjo recalls her own words. You have no right to ask me that, and I have no duty to answer. But Jaehyun's response echoes back. What if Lee Yeonjo's death felt like my world collapsing? Then, would I have the right to ask? Shaken, she reacts internally, are you an idiot? That's obviously a lie. Just words. Trying to push it away, she tells herself, no one knows better than I do that it's a lie. A memory surfaces. For 3 years we shared our hearts deeply, and yet. The memories continue as Yeonjo reflects. Jaehyun took everything from me and disappeared like the wind. She later learned he had gone abroad through her father's help. Time passed, for 8 whole years, yet my heart could not fill the void he left. Eventually she tried to move on. In despair I married, but even then my shattered heart was never rebuilt. Her thoughts turned bitter. If that were the case, he shouldn't have reappeared at all. She recalls his return. He returned as the CEO of the prestigious MK Investment, yet never once contacted me. Yoonjo reflects bitterly. This merely softened those memories into a gentle spring breeze. In the end, to him I was only worth that much. Her frustration rises, and now he says his world collapsed. Why tell such lies? She thinks of the truth as she sees it, a man who erased me for 8 years. Yet she's conflicted. Why does he show such longing eyes at the name Yoonjo? Overwhelmed, she questions him in her thoughts. What is it, Park Jae-hyun? What part of you is the truth? She tries to dismiss it, scoffing. How ridiculous. Do you really want to believe he still loves you? Then grounds herself firmly. You know that can't be true. Yoonjo steels herself, saying it's time to face reality. She sits down and begins her next step. First, let's sort through all the current traces. Typing on her laptop, she organizes Na Yeonjo's life. Name Na Yeonjo. Stage name Navi. A former dream of becoming a top model, once active in fashion shows, advertisements, and magazine shoots, though that work has now dried up. More details follow. Strained relationships at Hera Entertainment, where she was labeled an outcast and treated as pretty trash. Then comes the financial reality. 2 bank accounts. Total cash assets, 1.72 million won. Yoonjo reacts in disbelief at how little remains, realizing that despite the image, Na Yeonjo's situation is far worse than expected. Yoonjo continues reviewing the details and realizes 5,000,001 is the monthly rent for the apartment. The answer becomes clear. No stable work, and whatever money she earned she spent immediately. The narration deepens, but unlike me, Na Yeonjo's life was tragic from the very beginning. It describes her past, an orphan with no one to rely on, a life that felt like hell every single day. No matter how hard she tried, nothing improved. Yoonjo takes a breath and resolves herself. I have to live Na Yeonjo's share of life too. Then focuses forward. For now, focus on what must be done as Lee Yeonjo. Yoonjo organizes her plan clearly in her mind. Open Kong Jinwa's secret vault at Troil. Find Secretary Joe. Meet father's colleagues and ask for help. Then she narrows her focus, realizing the immediate priority. First, I need to find a way back to Troipol.